Oh, welcome back to the Mancave podcast, the Mancave podcast. We've been drinking. Uh,
Yes, we have.
this is obviously not your regularly scheduled program. Why? Because Larry decided to take his honeymoon.
In a bed in the pod.
Exactly. Like we didn't have a podcast to record. You know what I mean? So I had to call my best friend, Glenn, onto the podcast.
I'm your best friend.
In order to make sure that the podcast keeps its momentum. You know what I mean? We don't want to skip a day because Larry wants to get married.
The show must go on.
Thank you, Glenn. So shout out to Glenn. Appreciate him always being a real one. Probably the realest one I know.
He's going to fuck you up when he comes back. And me. And me.
So today we're doing something a little different. So instead of being sexist and misogynistic in person, me and Glenn are doing it virtually. And what we're going to talk about is Marvels. The Marvels coming out in movies. What's today? It's coming out this weekend. So what we're going to do is a little bit of like before and after. Me and Glenn obviously have not seen the Marvels yet. It doesn't come out yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation about what we expect to see from it, how we expect it to perform. Then, with the power of editing, we're going to go watch it, and we're going to come back, and we're going to have another conversation. And guess what? That's not even two separate videos. That's going to be all in one video, because that's how we do it here in the Mancave podcast.
You can do that?
I can do that. I don't know if other people. I don't know if other people can pull it off.
Editing is fucking futuristic.
Yeah, that's how I do it here. So just to get into it real quick, Glenn, are you excited to see the Marvels?
Not at all. And I guess I know we joked about the misogynistic stuff, but like it's not because of them. They've been ruining it for like the past 4 or 5 movies. So like,
who's they?
Marvel.
Yeah, Disney.
Yeah. Well, Disney. Yeah, I guess both. I don't know who you.
It's definitely Disney. I mean, I feel like you can be a fan of Marvel still and just not be a fan of Disney. Disney is affecting how Marvel is moving forward for sure.
Actually, I'll shake your hand on that because Across the Spider-Verse was actually fantastic. It's the greatest movie I might have ever seen. The movie's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll shake your hand on that. Yeah, it's definitely Disney. Disney is trash.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even going to have a whole conversation. We can actually because this is the episode. But Disney, I don't know what they're doing. They did such a great. I'm not even going to say a great job with Marvel between phase 1 through 3, right? Because if you want to look at phase 1, pretty childish, right? It wasn't really taking itself serious. If you watch the first Captain America, half of it he's doing dances on Broadway. Yeah. You know what I mean? Thor 1 and Thor 2 were not good. It didn't get great until Thor 3 Ragnarok, and then it took a fucking plummet on Thor 4, but that's also a problem right now. That's like Thor 4 is Disney currently. But if you view Marvel as a whole, it wasn't getting like fucking great until phase 2. And the turning point was very much Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier was what was the turning point for Marvel, and it was like, yo, we can actually make these movies. I 100%
before Avengers, because Avengers kind of brought it all together.
It closed out phase 1. Yeah, it closed out phase 1. But if you see the characters and their development, dramatically different in phase 2 from phase 1.
Yeah.
And the movies themselves decided to take a more serious tone.
For sure.
And I think that was affected by Winter Soldier. Yeah. I think Winter Soldier was the first movie to come out where it took itself seriously. It wasn't fucking joke after joke after joke. And it was trying to tell a legitimate story and develop the characters as a whole within the film. Not just Captain America, but it was taking its time to obviously introduce the Falcon and hash out Black Widow's character a little more. So shout out to the Russo brothers, Russo brothers,
Had a little bit more than you thought.
because I think that was a turning point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely shake your hand on that. Winter Soldier is still my favorite. Um, Incredible. It's still my favorite among all of them. It definitely does take everything else up a notch. And everything kind of, even from that point forward, it kind of falls by the wayside. You know how I felt about Civil War. You know how I feel about a lot of the movies after. There's some goofiness that still goes on that I'm not the biggest fan of. But Winter Soldier was definitely that last really grounded movie, but still, a superhero spectacle. Um, and yeah, I don't know. But I have no idea what's going on now.
So I didn't see the what is it, Miss the what's her the show
Miss Marvel? I
Miss
didn't see it
Marvel,
either.
which obviously is the introduction to the girl,
Yeah,
the young girl in the Marvels. I didn't see the show, so like now I'm going into the movie, and the movie's my introduction to her.
right.
So all I can hope is that the movie is an enough introduction to where they develop her throughout the film. Where I'm like, oh, like I don't need the show to fill in the gaps as far as who she is.
Yeah, and it's not even just that. You still need to see WandaVision to see who what's the daughter's name? Is it not Monica?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you still need to see WandaVision and to see the
yeah.
other girl. So you still need to see two shows to understand who two-thirds of the characters are. You still need to see Captain Marvel. So say if you were a hater from the beginning, you're not seeing this. So you have
Hmm.
no idea where Nick Fury has been. You probably have to have seen Secret Invasion to understand what we're getting here. I didn't see that shit either.
I didn't see it either.
So there's
Well,
probably
let me
so many
ask you a
things that are
question.
tying
Why
in.
have you not watched those movies or those shows?
Uh I don't know, man. I feel like I've become like that guy, but like kind of
Who's
like
that
the
guy?
opposite. So, like get your politics out my movie kind of shit.
Yeah.
But it's more for the other reason. Like I hate, like I'm cool with politics being in my movie, but like I don't like how people talk about politics being in the movie. Like people sometimes act like politics just aren't in movies, and that shit bothers me. It's like
Yeah,
people are
it's
so
almost as
stupid.
if they act like, yeah, for sure, like, oh, they threw it in a Disney movie if that's the first time that it's happened. No,
Yeah,
it's in all the movies, man. It's
yeah.
now it's attached to something that you feel passionate about, and all of a sudden you want to fucking rip it to shreds.
Yeah, rip it to shreds. That'll never not be funny, man. But in addition to that, it's also the shows. Like, man, like every show is just. It's kind of like the issue with the Netflix ones. Like once the first couple are done, and you're like, okay, well, this ties into the next movie, but that movie wasn't good. And you watch the next show, and that ties into the next movie, and that movie wasn't good. It's like, do I even really give a fuck about watching the shows? There's like 10 shows.
Yeah,
I like Loki 2 is supposedly amazing.
I saw the first episode. I loved it.
It's supposedly amazing. But like that's not enough to bring me back. Ant-Man was garbage. And you know what's weird? It's sometimes it's not even the actor's fault. Like sometimes like the actors can be
Oh
really
yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I don't know what it is where we just keep giving they're not improving. They're definitely proven. But like they're not no, they're not proven. What is her name? It's Nia something. I don't want to get her name wrong. But she did Candyman. Candyman was not a good movie. Why are you giving her a Marvel movie? Candyman was absolute dog shit. And now this is I don't know what Candyman translates into the Marvels for, but the Marvels already doesn't carry a good brand based on things. I'm not going to really get into it. But like it's already not carrying a good brand for like three other reasons. Like so it's like this movie doesn't have a lot going for it, and I don't know. I have no idea what the fuck they're doing, dude.
I don't want to happen in this movie to be what's happening in DC, where it's like, yo, we had back to back poor films. We had back to back, flops in the box office, where they're like, I guess we got to change something.
Mm,
Um, and my biggest example for that is Blue Beetle. Like, I don't know if you've seen Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle
definitely
was
didn't.
fucking good. It was a switch up for DC. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Mm,
If I had to guess, I would say, just to give it a comparison, Blue Beetle. would be early phase 2, late phase 1 Marvel. Where there
Like a
it's still,
Guardians.
yeah, exactly, 100%. Where it's still finding its footing, right?
Mm,
It's like it's definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Introduction to the character, origin story. That's what
right.
I'm thinking. It's still an origin story, and it still has jokes
Mm,
riddled throughout the movie,
mhm.
but it's still telling a story. It took its opportunity to be emotional. It took its opportunity to take itself serious when it needed to be, and it set up the groundwork for a sequel and the groundwork to be introduced to other DC characters. So that's my thing with DC, just to kind of, because it didn't perform well.
Mhm.
Blue Beetle did not perform well in the box office, and people are like, "Oh no, James Gunn is gonna have to get the boot because Blue Beetle didn't do well." I'm like, Blue Beetle didn't do well because DC has not been doing well for the last decade. So
Yeah.
people are just gonna assume, let me not watch this new DC movie. And Marvel is falling in, unfortunately, to the same fucking format where it's like, well, the last fucking three Marvel movies and all the shows that I watch are ass. I'm not about to go pay money to go watch The Marvels. It
Facts.
doesn't look good. And the last couple movies that I said, hold up, it's still Marvel. Let me go watch it. It wasn't good. I'm not about to continue doing the same thing. I think
Yeah.
Marvel is digging themselves into a DC sized hole and they need to figure it the fuck out.
A DC sized hole. All right, we just put them on notice. We just put them niggas on notice. Am I allowed to say niggas? I'm allowed to say niggas.
Say it four more times.
Fucking summon Larry and shit. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. That's what I'm saying. I've been saying this. I think companies learn the wrong lesson from their failures. I think they think that if something doesn't perform well, like everything about the movie,
Has to change.
yeah, had to change. And it's like, no, you were on the right track, but somewhere along the way you got lost. Like a director change here, a vision change here, a producer change here, a musical score here. Like like if we really think about it, the MCU is the greatest logistical undertaking in movie making history. Like I don't think there's anything else that has taken probably as much time and energy from a producer standpoint to get right.
Mm,
You got to get continuity right, and they don't, but it's fine. Like there's certain things where I can suspend my disbelief because I'm buying in to the vision. But
yeah.
if y'all don't give a fuck about the vision, how the hell am I supposed to give a fuck about the vision? So speaking of that, where is that nigga?
The
Where is
Division.
Vision?
He's
Facts, like
dead, motherfucker. I mean, I guess now there's Gray Vision if you didn't
whatever that
watch
means.
WandaVision.
Exactly. That's exactly
Yeah,
my point. So
yeah.
it's like there's so many loose ends that are not getting tied up, and the the world itself is getting so much bigger than the characters that are remaining in it. Like what the fuck does how are we gonna bring Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, Shang-Chi, what, White Widow, Red Guardian? How are we bringing all of them together to do anything against Kang? Do we
Yeah.
care about Kang? Like, see, that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
after Ant-Man 3, I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck, and that's the thing. Like, what I'm trying to think. So, Iron Man 1 uh, fed you into uh, Iron Man 1 fed you into what, Thor? No, it gave you Nick Fury. It gave you Nick Fury, and then Hulk
It gave
gave
us
you Thor.
everything.
What do you mean?
Iron Man 1 gave, yeah, it went into Nick Fury, sure, but it gave us the fucking breadcrumbs
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
into what would become obviously where we are today. I mean,
right. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like Iron Man 1 gave us Nick Fury, Hulk gave us Thor. I think Thor gave us Captain America, like him doing the punching bag.
mm,
One of them gave. So you see what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it's laying
yeah,
those breadcrumbs that way, where it's this organic bringing together of the niggas that exist in the field, and there is none of this. So I mean, I guess they're all congregating at uh Comertage or whatever the the Doctor Strange place is, but like it doesn't feel like that's really leading to anything because we haven't heard from Doctor Strange since his movie. Like he
Yeah.
barely acknowledges what Spider-Man goes through. And I guess he can't because of what happens in that movie, but still, it like where the fuck is any of this going? How does all of this resolve? I gotta watch Loki to figure that out. I gotta watch Hawkeye 2 I gotta watch Hawkeye 2 to figure that out. What does Daredevil have to do with any of this? Where
I
are
have
the
no idea.
Eternals at? What does Blade have to do with any of this? You see what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like,
You
there's
think
no
Marvel is just like? I think Marvel, and I've told this to you before. I think Marvel, for whatever reason, is its biggest competitor.
too much of something.
It's like Marvel's fighting against Marvel. Like obviously, Marvel's not competing against DC. No one gives two shits about DC films. People care about Marvel. Marvel's been in the game for over a decade. They've given us characters that we've felt emotional attachments to, and now they're on the decline. But I think they're on the decline because they continue trying to up themselves.
Yeah,
They're like, "Yo, let's put out 5 shows this year and 3 movies that are all connected." Motherfucker, who has the time to watch all that shit? I
facts.
think, I think they should have honestly. I might not get any kind of agree on this. I might be in the 1 percentile. I think Marvel should have been like movies are one thing, shows are another thing. If you're interested in following the shows that will end up connecting to one another in a Netflix style with Daredevil, what's the other bitch? Hilarious.
Jessica Jones,
Jessica Jones, all the motherfuckers, right? I was gonna say One Piece. What's the other guy?
One Piece.
Fist of Fury. I don't know his name.
Wow. Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, but that whole thing, right? It
Yeah.
was like they were developing these characters in a show style,
Mhm.
and if you wanted to see more of them, go to the show.
Right.
But then you have your movies that are like, oh, if you like the movies and you want to continue keeping track on the movies, just continue watching the movies, but they're separate. You're
Right.
continuing to put out characters that people might like to see in a show film, but movies are separate.
Yeah.
And I like you shouldn't be like, yo, I have to watch this show and I have to watch this show in order to watch this movie. And then when I'm done that movie, I gotta watch this show to watch that movie. And people are complaining about that regularly. And I've had people and I've seen people on TikTok and seen people on fucking Twitter that are saying,
I don't go to
oh
any of
no,
those places.
that's not Marvel. You don't need to watch those shows. You could just watch the movies. I'm like, that's not true. So much is happening in these shows that develop the
Yeah.
characters or introduce the characters in a certain light, and then that same character is brought to the movies, and I'm like, yo, that wasn't happening in the last movie, and now I'm lost.
Yeah. Pretty much the entire crux of the Marvels, basically. So yeah, I agree with you. I definitely do. Um, I don't know how they fix this. To be honest with you, on we like if you're a savvy individual, you kind of understand that they're selling these shows so that they could sell Disney Plus.
Oh, of course.
And that's not even doing what it needs to do. Like once the shows are over, niggas cancel. I canceled. I hope I canceled.
I'm gonna still giving donations to
I
Disney
hope I
Plus.
canceled. But like, yeah, like once a show is done, the fuck I got Bambi on DVD.
Bambi.
I got the fuck I need Disney. What do I need Disney Plus for? So I mean, they're just a reason to get you to be on the platform, and I don't think there's really any other reason. And they have a monopoly on when their movies first come out, unless it's a Spider-Man movie. But outside of that, there's no real point.
What's your predictions for the Marvels performance wise after its release first week? Do you think it'll do well? Do you think it's gonna perform poorly? Where do you think it's gonna sit?
750K. I don't think it's or
750.
750 million. I'm stupid.
Yeah, I was like, damn,
750K
they
for
don't
a
even
movie is
crack a million.
insane. Holy shit.
All right, so you think from its release
Mhm.
to 1 week from now, this video or this episode will be released basically a week from its release. We're gonna take a look at it. You think it'll be 750K, kind of breaking
750 million.
million. Now I'm following into your same pattern.
Yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad. I always
750
lop a
million
zero off.
in a week. I think that's pretty
Oh, we're
good.
talking about in a week.
Yeah, I think from 1 week,
Oh,
from where
never
me
mind.
and you catch up again after we've seen the movie, and then we talk about what we thought about it after watching it. Do you think it'll in 1 week? Because honestly, movies fall off after a week now. There's too much shit coming out. 1 week, where do you think it's sitting at?
I don't know. See, that's tough. I don't know how to do like.
So, do you think it'll hit a fucking decline? So the thing is, I think the first week it's gonna be uh, my guess. It's gonna be the worst performing Marvel movie to come out ever.
Worse than Ant Man?
I think worse than Ant Man,
Worse
money
than Ant Man?
wise. Ant Man made decent bread. Ant Man still made some money because people were still kind of hype on it. Ant Man 1 and 2 were actually not that bad.
They
So
weren't.
why would I consider Ant Man 3 to be, why would I guess that is going to be bad? Which it was. Give me 1 second while I take a look. See, I'm trying to see how much it made in 1 week. And they're like, oh, well, this is how much it made the entire time. That's not what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
that's the only thing I really generally know how to gauge. I don't know how to do 1 week.
Well, we're having a conversation on a 1 week forum. So, okay. So here's what I'll say. Ant-Man grabbed 120 million at the box office in its first 4 days. Where do you think Miss Marvel would be in that same weekend or first 4 days? From Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
If we're speaking where traditionally most movies, even blockbusters, fall off second week. I'm thinking 350.
So you think Ant-Man doing 120 million
Mm-hmm.
in the first 4 days, which again in my personal opinion had the best or better potential of performing in the box office because of 1 and 2 being better and people wanting to continue to see more of Kang the Conqueror. You think it'll do better? You think it's going to perform worse than the Marvels?
So this is my thing about Ant Man. Ant Man came out. When did Ant Man come out?
President's Day weekend or some shit.
Well, what
Whenever that
year?
was. I believe it was last year.
Okay, Ant Man came out when there was nothing else going on, and if you didn't, Spider Man started
Oh
all the shit.
no, it was this year. What it was this February 17th, 2023.
Holy shit, that's so wild. That movie
Yeah,
seems so old.
I know.
It came out when there was nothing going on. Like, if you didn't see Loki,
February.
and this is the problem, like if you didn't see Loki, then who gives a you already didn't give a fuck about Ant Man. Every other Ant Man movie came out when nothing else was going on. And this is following the same thing. Like something is gonna go on in this movie. Plus, it's a hate train movie. So everybody that hates Captain Marvel is gonna go watch it. It doesn't matter what they
Yeah, yeah,
say,
yeah.
they're gonna go watch it. So I don't think this is gonna follow that same kind of prescription where there's not really anything going on. I think some major shit is gonna happen. I just don't think I think it's gonna be a commercial success, not a critical success. Kind of like the first one. But I mean, it also depends because this movie is also the most expensive movie made under 2 hours. So I don't
Which is
know how much
crazy.
money. Yeah.
Okay, so my other thing before we wrap it up for the first half of this episode is apparently there's a shit ton of fucking X-Men reveal going on in this movie. And I don't know if that was like a tie-in as an attempt to bring in more viewers. Like, hey, if you like X-Men or you want to see where X-Men is headed, you gotta watch this movie. Almost like what I said earlier in the episode, where it's like, yo, if you're a fan of Captain America and Iron Man, you gotta watch this movie. Now, if you're a fan of X-Men, hey, you gotta come watch this movie. Like, I've heard countless things where, like, even in the trailer, they're like, "Yo," they're giving a lot of hints that this is connected to X Men, or we're introducing X Men characters, and so. What do you think about that?
I don't understand how. I mean, there's a super stretch way that they can somehow connect them. But other than that, I really don't understand why X-Men are involved at all. Outside of if you watched Miss Marvel, whatever they revealed in that. But like, who gives a fuck about that?
Well, I
Also,
mean,
go ahead, my bad. What were you gonna say?
no. All I was gonna say is that I mean that's their way of bringing hype to a show that I think they're not is not going to perform well, or a movie that's not going to perform well. Like it has to have. Oh, let's throw it in this movie, the introduction to a very important, beloved X-Men character, so that this movie performs well. Scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to watch the Marvels?
Fucking two.
Eesh. Honestly, I'm sitting at a 5. Down the
Uh,
middle. Only because I'm a fan of Marvel. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm not. My only other question is like, are we judging Marvel movies too harshly?
no.
Like, are we not viewing them as movies anymore? Like, these are a detachment to our regular lives, where we can just watch a movie on some dumb shit. Comic book characters. So, are we not going to watch movies to just enjoy ourselves anymore, or are we going in there to judge it? Like, where do we stand?
I mean, it's just like any other kind of art, man. You judge the shit out of it. So I don't think we're doing anything more than less than anybody else. I don't think it has any privileges to prevent it from being judged to a higher or lesser degree. If anything, they're 47,000 movies in. Damn straight you're gonna get judged at this point. Like, cause this is nothing like how it used to be. And I mean that's all there is to it.
Hey, I agree. Um, I think people that complain about, hey, it's just a movie, watch it. It's like, that's for you. Just a movie, watch it.
That's such a cop out
Us,
excuse.
we enjoy the craft of film. Like, we enjoy developments of our characters that we feel attachments to. I think it's unfair for people to be like, hey, just watch the movie and shut the fuck up. Like, that's cool. You watch the movie and shut the fuck up. That's fine. We're gonna watch the movie and we're gonna attempt to dissect it. I remember having a conversation with somebody when I watched The Apostle on Netflix, and I told them, "Hey, I love watching movies and I like dissecting it and viewing camera angles and judging it." And he goes, "Dude, just watch the movie." I go, "That's fine for you. Just watch the movie. I'm not asking you to do what I do." I watch movies and Alina's gets annoyed as the way I'm like, "Yo, that's a pretty good shot. Like, I like that shot." Or I'm like, I would have, that didn't really hit well. And she's like, what? I'm like, this is how I watch movies. And that's the entertainment aspect for me. So for the people that sit, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, like, if I'm going to the movies to watch it, and I spend fucking, TJB spending like $400 for an IMAX ticket.
That's me
I'm
now.
wow, Jesus
AMC stub
Christ,
member.
that's gross. Man, you damn straight I'm gonna get my $400 worth. Popcorn is $13 and shit.
Yeah, but
I'm
even
judging the
value
shit
of
out
the
of it.
movie detached. Like, you're a fan of film, you're a fan of movies. You know
Right?
what I mean? Like, you like to dissect it because you love it so much. The same
Yeah,
way that you are with music. It's not that you're depreciating the value of the music or the artist itself. It's like you have such a respect for it
yeah.
that you kind of review it the way that you do. So that's all I'm saying. As far as the people that try to fucking shit on other people for kind of giving their 2 cents or reviewing a movie or a show or music, keep scrolling. No one gives a shit.
Hey,
You
if
don't
you're a
give a fuck
casual,
about
just say
what I'm
that.
saying. Keep moving. Remember, like and subscribe. Look, this is where we're gonna end the first half. Me and Glenn are gonna go watch the Marvels. All right. Again, I'm sitting at a 5 out of 10 as far as excitement. Glenn is sitting at a 2. I think I'm gonna walk out of that movie being a little more surprised than I'm currently. I'm an optimistic person. All right.
Actually, yeah, I'm open to the experience. If it ends up being way better than I anticipated it being, I'm I'm gonna come
Here's what
back
I'm gonna
here
say. I
and say that.
think the chemistry between the three characters. I think it's gonna be great. I think the three main characters in the movie are gonna have a good chemistry, and I'm hoping that it's good enough that it resonates with the audience.
Man, I only care about the chemistry between me and Tiana Paris. I don't give a fuck about nothing else.
I tell you what, it's a
Yo, don't look at me
one-sided
like that, though.
chemistry.
Don't look at me like that ever again. A boy can
uh,
dream.
keep dreaming. Look, with the power
Sheesh.
of editing, we're about to go watch the movie, and it's gonna be like this for y'all. Y'all not even gonna
Facts.
notice.
I'm gonna have a different bandana and a different hoodie on.
I'm not.
Sweatshirt.
Look, if you didn't
Shoo.
watch Miss Marvels yet, and you are enjoying a little bit about this conversation, pause it. That's cool with me. If you don't want spoilers, because believe it or not, there's probably going to be spoilers on the second half of the episode because we're actually watch the movie. Go watch it. Support Marvel, support female lead characters, or don't, and just watch the second
Wild
half. I
hashtags.
don't care.
Wild hashtags.
Hashtag Larry's on vacation. Look, we're about to watch the movie. We're gonna be right back. Sit tight, grab your snacks, make some popcorns. We talking about it. Well, welcome back to the second half of the episode. This should go without saying, but here we go. Spoiler alert. We're going to be talking about the Marvels. Me and Glenn had the opportunity to watch it. So obviously, we're going to talk about spoilers in the movie. If you haven't had the chance to watch it yet, maybe pause it right here, go watch it, and then catch up with us afterwards and just pick up where you left off. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's jump into the second half. And just like that, through the power of editing, it's been a few days since our last conversation. Glenn Tholomew and I were talking about our expectations for the Marvels, and we've had the opportunity to go watch the Marvels. And before I get into what I think about it, Glenn, what do you think about it? Was it what you thought you were going to get? Did it disappoint you? Did it actually impress you a little bit? Tell me where you're at.
I will say that if I was like 16, this movie would come across extremely different. Like I'd probably like it a lot. And I do like it, but it's a bizarre ass movie. It's a weird ass movie. It's too weird for its own good.
Yeah. I liked it. I went in there. It was a fun movie. Uh, Camila Khan, the girl that plays her, she did a phenomenal job. Her
Yeah.
family altogether, I think, was mad entertaining. Their chemistry throughout the movie was like I just wanted
Mhm.
to see more of them. Honestly, if that's the chemistry that they had in the movie, and if we get more of that in the show, I actually might fuck around and watch the show if it's exactly like that because it was actually fun as
Yeah,
shit to watch
I
them.
agree.
She was cool as hell. Like I was like, all right, I fuck with her. I didn't give the show a chance. The trailer and everything just made it look mad cheesy. But she didn't come across like that in the movie. She's a teenage girl, so you can't go in there thinking that she's not going to be childish. But it was
Yeah,
still
I would say
fun.
that there were some times where it was a little bit much, but um like you gonna fangirl the whole time? You just gonna relax?
I mean, she eventually
Yeah, when the movie
stops.
was over.
No, I think it got like she even apologized like halfway through. Remember, she was like, "I'm sorry for coming on so strong. I didn't even give you a
That
chance
was
to be
like
a
the
person."
last
Um,
40 minutes of the movie, yeah.
I mean, yeah, yeah, it's an hour
Well,
and
I mean,
45
I'm just
minute
saying. Yeah, I'm
movie.
just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, some things have to play through for her to kind of be a little more grounded.
Yeah.
Um, but I enjoyed the movie. I thought the fucking switching aspect of them switching was so dope in the first half of the movie, and then in the second half, I was over it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the first fight sequence when they were accidentally swapping places and then like picking up where the other one left off. I was like, this is kind of cool. Uh but then once they started like training in the spaceship, I was over
You
it.
know
I
what's
was like,
weird? That's kind of when I started to like it because it was like, oh, okay, so they're doing some team bonding activities, some yeah,
some team
yeah.
building exercises.
They're coming together. But I think that's also one of the
Mhm.
things that I couldn't stand. Like scene to scene, if I take it's weird how I'm trying to break this down. Scene by scene, each scene by itself kind of actually amazing. When you look at it as a whole, like as a full sequence, the movie is kind of dumb as shit. And I think all right,
Explain.
it's hard to explain. Oh, spoilers, by the way. But where do I even begin? It's like, okay, so
I don't
Monica,
know.
Monica in general, she should know by now how kind of everything works with being a superhero.
I agree. I thought that her not wanting to talk to Captain Marvel was mad childish and very
Yeah,
forced. Um it's almost like I get that she had lost her mom in one of the worst ways. Like she just came back and her mom was gone. She didn't get to say bye. Like I get it. But her kind of putting that on Captain Marvel and like making guilt tripping her for that. I'm like, I don't this
yeah,
feels
it was
mad
bizarre.
forced.
So it's that contrasted with the fangirling of
Miss Marvel, it got to be much. It's like, and it's weird because Carol Brie Larson actually comes into her own in this movie. I actually enjoyed most of her acting in this movie. She kind of felt like a real character now. The only times that I felt like she was kind of like it was still bizarre was it was the times when things got really bad. It I don't know, man. It was like every time they met up and they had a sequence, everything was going horribly wrong because obviously because of the switch and shit. And then they'd stand in a
Mhm.
triangle and they'd talk about it. Monica would do her weird guilt trip shit. Fucking Carol would do her weird I can't save everybody shit. Um what's Shorty's name? Kamala goes through her fangirl shit. And mad niggas just died, by the way. Planets yeah,
Yeah, a
mad
lot of
niggas
people
just
actually
fucking
died in this
vamoosed.
show.
And they're sitting in a triangle just trying to settle some petty drama shit. And that's 4 times in a movie.
So did the singing world
I
die?
believe so, but I also went to the bathroom.
Because they left
I
them. Like Captain Marvel was trying to save them, and the other two was like, "Yeah, we can't do it. We gotta head out." And then she's like, "No, I can do this." And then Miss Marvel was like, "No, we're getting out of here. Like, I'm not trying to die." So, and then they never really brought it
That's
up
what I'm
again. So I
saying.
don't know.
And
Did they all
literally, it's
die?
that point.
And honestly, I'm for it because as
What?
soon as they started singing and they didn't stop, I'm like, give me a snapping scene all over again.
Send this
Like,
world to hell.
take more than half these people out because I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? Y'all was doing some pretty good shit, and then we get into a world that they only sing. I was like, this is some Disney fucking shit,
Yeah,
man.
that's how I felt. This movie felt like a Disney ass movie, but like at the wrong time. Like it was some Guardians of the Galaxy type shit, but like for the wrong people. Like Nick Fury is the weirdest character ever now. Like I don't understand. He never established himself as anything that I ever remembered him being. He was just this weird comic relief guy.
Yeah, like very much comic relief guy now.
And it's like Captain Marvel really fucked this guy up, and I really don't understand what it is. Like I don't really get it. But I think overall I would say that I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. The movie I would give a 5 out of 10, and it's a lot of that petty weird shit. The movie could have stood to lose some of the bloating, like maybe cut a good 15 minutes out of it.
Yeah, fucking 15-minute sequence of them singing. Cut that
Oh
out.
yeah, well I went to the bathroom.
Probably
Yeah.
wasn't even well, I think it actually was about 15 minutes. No, maybe I'm pushing it, but it was a hefty fucking
Yeah.
time of them just
Yeah.
singing, bro.
Yeah. Um
I was like, what is
I came
this?
back and then uh uh the accuser shorty was there. Also, yeah,
Uh, I wasn't a fan of her. I wasn't like, I didn't really. You see, here's another thing that I'm annoyed with. Like, I don't know if it's a Marvel thing. Maybe I'm just reading into it incorrectly, but I'm tired of people justifying villains' behaviors. I don't know when that happened. It's just like, sure, she's a bad
mm,
person, but we're developing her backstory to understand why she's doing these things. It's like, oh, well, on her planet, she's a good person. She's trying to save the people. She had something taken away from her, and now, like, but I never found her threatening in any way during the film. The only time that I saw her make like a villainous choice was it towards the end when she was like, Captain Marvel was like, "Yo, let me just restart your son." And then we can kind of rock it out. And she was like, all right, cool. And then she just decides, no, I'm actually going to kill you. I was like, okay. But that doesn't fit the character that you guys have been developing through the whole kind of movie. Yeah, she doesn't like, what are we calling her? The
the
Annihilator?
annihilator. That shit got tired quick.
So I understand she doesn't like the Annihilator, but it's like, I just wasn't messing with it. I didn't see the reasoning. And then to finish off with her essentially killing herself for absolutely no reason once she got the two bands. I was like, all she did was get the two bands. She fought the whole movie to get it. Then she hit the Wonder Woman Kachang. And then she just died and ripped a hole through time and space and then she's just gone. I'm like, so
I don't know.
what was the point of the two bands? She was getting the job done with the
I don't
one.
know.
She didn't do anything with two.
I don't know, bro. This is why I this is why sometimes I kind of flip flop back and forth between being a stickler for like source material and then um kind of understanding why you would take creative liberties. Cuz like if that was the whole point, honestly, it this movie, I don't know what it is about Captain Marvel in general, but she just upends so much about everything that's been established so far. Like she borderline almost solos Thanos 5 years ago or whenever this fucking happens in Endgame at the end, but can't beat a regular Kree bitch with a Ronin hammer. A fucking raccoon beat that nigga, bruh. You see what I'm saying? Like it's so bizarre. Like it's such a bizarre situation. I don't know, man. I this is why I feel like they should have did instead of just the flat out verbal affirmation. Oh, Captain Marvel's the strongest. It's cool. I've already accepted that. That's fine. But it's like I feel like they've sabotaged so many other comparative individuals just to get this off, and it just doesn't make any sense. I have no idea how strong the Hulk is. If the Hulk can't tank Thanos, who the fuck can? Apparently only Carol Danvers, but she can't beat a regular bitch with a hammer. And it's like, all right, well, if Ronan had the same kind of joint, he got beat by a grenade, and then a
Yeah, I
power
think the only
stone.
thing I think the what people are gonna kind of if they attempt to defend her losing or not being able to defeat this woman in the movie was that anytime she shot one of her Johns, or if you remember the scene where she grabs the pendant or the bracelet, it starts
Yeah,
absorbing her power or some
yeah,
shit. So it was like, I guess, making her weaker. I don't know. They didn't truly explain that. They just said that it was absorbing her powers. Um, and that's the only thing that people could even try to use in order to justify the fact that she could essentially beat Thanos, but can't beat this person who's nowhere near Thanos level like threat. But yeah, you're completely right. The power levels, they're Dragon Ball Z in this whole
yeah,
situation where the power levels don't make sense.
yeah. It's like I kind of get why the other two might not be able to. They one has
Oh,
one
100%. They don't have the skill
right.
that she has in hand-to-hand combat or even fighting people of that magnitude. One's a 16-year-old, the other one just got her powers. Neither of these two should compare at all to Captain Marvel. But Captain Marvel should have easily been able to solo this woman.
Hey, and she borderline kind of. I don't know. It's weird, man. It like I think the other thing. I don't know. Everything about this movie just falls apart when you kind of dig deeper. How they've literally in the movie said 3 times, "Oh, Monica, you got your powers by a witch hex."
They said that, yeah.
So they said that like three
I feel like
times.
they were doing that with her, and then they were doing the same thing with Camilla Khan,
So,
where they were like trying to be like, "Oh, well, here's the blanks filled in if you didn't watch these shows."
but and that's fine because that makes sense. But how do they come to the conclusion? I don't even know why they're switching. Like, what ties them together? Literally nothing. Literally
Well,
nothing.
it was the it's a silly explanation, but what tied the three together was one, Camilla Khan's bracelet or Miss Marvel's bracelet is essentially a time, or what is it, like a space jump? I don't remember how they were categorizing it. Um, but it can be used to jump, like create portals to jump through time or space or whatever the fuck.
Okay.
But then that got linked to the other two when they both touched in the beginning of the movie, like the portals that were kind of like glitched open, and they didn't know why they were glitched open. And because essentially a lot of their power, I guess both of their powers are similar, which I don't think they are, but similar, it fused them together because they touched it at the same time. So them touching those two portals at the same time, and then Miss Marvel's bracelet also being linked to it, is just kind of intertwined all three of them. That was my understanding on their explanation.
That's that doesn't that didn't hurt your brain doing all that. That hurt my brain listening to that. And then
I mean,
seeing that explained throughout the movie, it's like
and they tried multiple times to explain it
I
throughout the movie.
still don't get it. Like none of you do even remotely the same thing. You didn't I don't know why they tried so hard to connect them. It's cool. Y'all got the same name. That's fine. Y'all don't have to have the same kind of joint. I don't know. The bands, I don't know. They did the same thing in Thor. I didn't fully watch Thor. They did the same thing kind of with the stones. Like these weird artifacts just have all this random ass power, but just just do mad retarded shit. Just mad goofy, just absolutely unhinged shit for absolutely no reason. And why you see what I'm saying? How I don't know. I don't know, bro. It's just fuck this movie, bro.
So you started at a 5.
Yeah, it's a
The
three
more you
now,
talk about it,
man.
is it
It's a
coming
three. The
down?
three is for Tiana Paris, man, because that's the only thing I took away from this movie. To be honest with you, that woman is fine.
I would stick at a 5. I'm gonna throw it down at a mid ball, mid range. You don't have to go watch this movie. You can wait for it to be on Disney Plus. It doesn't really push the envelope forward, just like me and Glenn uh, had guessed on the first half of the episode. It doesn't do anything. It attempts to in the very end, by introducing another universe, where they introduce the X-Men. Um, they showed Beast, uh, her mom, which in this universe is not her mom, but she's part of the X-Men, and they talk about Professor Xavier briefly. So that's their attempt, I guess, at bringing in the X-Men. It's a completely different universe. How do you feel about that?
Um, so I remember having a conversation with Eric about this, and he prefers this outcome. He wanted the X-Men to come from a different universe. When I thought about it, it makes the most sense given the theme of the MCU right now. Makes the most sense. But I have a 55-ish year old Storm. Halle Berry's still fine, but she's 55. I got a borderline 60 Hugh Jackman who said that he couldn't do the reason why he stopped is because he just couldn't keep up.
He physically,
Facts.
yeah.
Uh they a completely CGI beast because Kelsey Grammer, you just can't do 37 hours of makeup.
And that CGI looked bad.
Horrible, horrible.
I was like, I mean, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, they made this in somebody's basement in 15 minutes. It did not look good.
So it's like, so what am I getting? Am I gonna be getting a weird mix of who? I mean, who- who's now going to sign up for 10 years to be in a franchise of a sinking ship?
Before we move
Yeah,
forward, I just want to ask a question. What would you have liked to see from the Marvels? And if you could attempt to correct the mistakes that were put in the film, how would you write them?
that is an excellent question. Um,
So just start off with the first half. What would you have liked to see? Like what that you didn't see? What do you think should have been in the movie?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm thinking that this movie is gonna be a large space epic. It's kind of not. Um, it's like Guardians Light, Great Value Guardians, the entire movie. That was kind of my feeling the whole time. They visit other places, but I don't give a fuck about any of the places they visited. And no, none of the places or people were people that I recognized. As soon as they brought up the quantum bands, I'm thinking, oh shit, they could do Gina's Vel, they could do a Marvel redo, they could do who else am I thinking about? Quasar. They could do mad different niggas that held the bands that did the switch shit. Like the switching shit is
Yeah.
real, but it's just not as stupid as this. So it's like I would have liked to see the bands make sense maybe because that's the entire crux of the movie. I would like to see a Kree scroll skirmish. You don't see anything about what Miss Marvel. I mean, you see what she does to a degree, but it. So I killed an AI and that killed your son. It made your
Yeah, yeah, that
air
was
not
like
be able to breathe. The fuck happened? So
yeah.
it's like there's so much, but we got a singing planet.
Yeah, right, that we
You see what I'm
got.
saying?
Um all right. So if you were to rewrite it, or the movie that we got, right? If Glenn went in there before it was
Raunchy boy style.
released, what are yeah, Raunchy Boys Productions. What are you tweaking? You can't change the whole story for this question. I want the story to stay the same.
Yeah.
But how are you tweaking it Glenn style?
I'm removing the Monica Rambeau guilt trip shit. Um,
Mhm.
or if it's gonna happen, it's front loaded and it gets resolved rather easily. Um, they have a much more organic way of describing why their powers are connected as opposed to what actually happened. I'd have Kamala fangirl a little less. That got very old very quickly. Obviously, the singing planet gets cut out. Um, maybe
Or we can leave it in. We just get a whole scene where it gets destroyed and we actually get to
that
watch
too.
it.
I would like to actually see them be successful. They failed the whole movie. Like they failed the
Hmm.
whole shit, and they're all comparatively the strongest individuals. So it's like I would like to see them succeed. And I guess one of the last things, um, maybe answer some unanswered questions from the older movies. What the fuck happened to um what's that planet? What you know what I'm talking about? What's that planet that Thanos visited? It's off screen, blows up, you never hear about it, but it was super Xandar.
Xandar?
Go that like that was
Yeah.
such a central hub and they never talked about that shit again. What happened there?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a major character that comes from there that's related to the band. So it's like there's so many different things that I would do, but it would definitely change the story. Like so there's no way that I would be here from start to finish. I'd quit eventually if this is the villain that we're gonna have because she fucking sucked.
Yeah, I think the turning like a big change in the movie had to be more focus on the
Yeah,
bands. Um, it was obviously introduced in Miss Marvel. So you know, just to give some backstory on that, obviously it's what intertwined Miss Marvel to Rambo and Captain Marvel. And all we heard was she's looking for it. Oh, my grandma sent this to me. And then in the end, when she puts both of them on, she's like, I was born for this. It, they didn't explain
at
anything
all.
about the bands, no history on the bands. And sure, we can say, oh, maybe that's the plan for future Miss Marvel show or movie. Um, uh, it was just like I think it was poorly
Yeah,
written, and then to the point that she gets both bands and just kamikazes herself in the end for absolutely no reason.
yeah,
No
yeah,
reason, because what was the outcome?
yeah,
She died. It didn't mean that she saved her planet.
yeah.
Doing that, she did not save her planet. She was just dead.
But if you've noticed, that's been like half the villains of the MCU. They get the MacGuffin, they realize the MacGuffin does almost the exact opposite of what they want it to do. Like they just read one legend and it's like, oh, let me go grab this shit and not understand the consequences. It That's been the entire MCU, honestly. But
And then okay, how did you feel about the whole cat sequence in the end there?
I'm gonna keep it a thou wow. I completely forgot it had happened. I wrote it out of my brain. It was hands down the most uncomfortable scene I've ever seen. And this is what I'm talking about. If I was a kid and it was set up the way that this was set up, that would be whimsical and fun. I'm like, oh, I like cats. They're eating people. That would be weird as shit to me, and I would just eat it all up. But like,
Mhm.
it's this weird. I don't know how to describe it. What would you describe it as?
It was a catastrophe.
That's
A cat
who you didn't have
catastrophe.
to explain it.
I was so like another part of this movie that could have just been cut
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but honestly,
Um,
bro, that whole B plot with the fucking Justice League Watchtower, they could have what the fuck? That whole shit could have just cut that whole bullshit out. I don't give a fuck about none of that.
yeah, they cut to that a lot, and I don't know if it was like. Honestly, this is a very short movie compared to a lot of the other, especially when it comes to like a sequel aspect from Marvel. Hour and 45 minutes. Most sequels that we've been getting have been past 2 hours. This is an hour and 45 minutes, and we get scenes like that. So my only guess is they had a story that they thought was good enough for a movie, but they didn't have the runtime that they wanted, and they started filling in the gaps with this. Let's throw in a planet that sings. Let's throw in a scene where cats are eating people for fun, or Nick Fury is being comedic relief. It's like I feel like they wrote the movie and then it was like, this is probably like an hour and 15 minutes for real if we do it this way. And then just, let's add some fun shit in here because this is Marvel. We can get away with it. Um, that's honestly what I'm getting from that because it's a very short movie. It could have been shorter if you guys cut out the
Facts.
nonsense, but they don't want it to be that short. If a Marvel movie comes out and it's an hour and 30 minutes, you're like, yo, that's bare minimum for what a movie should honestly be.
Honestly, I would have preferred that if it cut out those two things.
But what was the last hour and 30-minute Marvel movie? Like I could honestly not I can't tell you. Most of Marvel movies are 2 hours long.
I feel
Like
like
let me
it's a
see. Maybe the
Thor,
earlier ones,
yeah.
Thor.
Thor Dark World. What an experience. Hour 52. Damn, not even a Thor movie. Captain America. I remember that shit feeling long.
Yeah, even the first Thor is an hour and 54 minutes. Um Black Widow, I think that's 2 hours and 13 minutes. Homie, I don't know what Marvel movie you're gonna get that's an hour and a half. Truly.
Oh wow, first Avenger was 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, that was actually longer than I
Iron
thought.
Man 2. Iron Man 1 felt short. Let me just look that up really. 2 hours and 6 minutes. Iron Man 2.
Yep, yep,
Two
yep.
hours, 5 minutes.
All right, so let me look. Shortest Marvel
Ant-Man,
movie.
maybe.
The shortest, yeah, I guess before this one, The Incredible Hulk has a runtime of 1 hour and 52 minutes.
Wow. And
Um,
Ant-Man and the Wasp has 1 hour and 58 minutes.
um, and then after that, it's Thor: The Dark World. So this is taking in the slot as the shortest MCU movie, and it's filled with nonsense. So that's what leads me to believe they had a general idea and they just didn't know how to execute it. They didn't execute it properly. And then they just filled in the gaps with
Yeah.
nonsense.
It's
And
yeah.
here we are, the
Yeah.
Marvels.
It's a shame.
And now that we're having a longer conversation, my 5 out of 10 is a 4. It's just like the more we talk about it, it's
Yeah,
just
the Cats
decreasing.
turned it into a 2. Not even Gianna Paris can save that, honestly. It's just
Tuana Paris.
okay. Okay. But it's like, it's weird. In having that conversation about what are our predictions about, I guess, box office. What is it, day 3?
I mean, I guess we can technically count Thursday because it drops Thursday at like Thursday evening.
Oh, I guess we could.
Like most showtimes start at like 7 p.m. Thursdays now. So I'm gonna count Thursday.
Yeah, this is rivaling.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Today being the 4th day of its release.
Yeah, this is lower than Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, they're actually expecting it to perform worse than the Flash and what's
Blue
the other
Beetle.
one?
Oh, Shazam, 2.
Shazam
Yeah,
2.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, if today is day 4, there was only 3 people in my theater. Yeah,
Oof.
3 people. Yeah. It was sad. And that's what I'm saying. It's I don't understand why you take a risk when you know that your entire franchise is at stake.
Dude, it comes down to the fact that they're releasing too much too quickly and they don't have the time to take care of their product.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to release way too much too fast. They have 10 shows a year. That's an exaggeration, I know. And then you have 3 movies a year, and you guys are trying to develop a story because you guys left Endgame on its peak of Marvel, the highest that it's ever going to be, in my personal opinion. I don't see it ever touching that again. And you guys are trying to get back to it, and the only way you can think about getting back to it is dropping as much as possible. But they're getting quality over or quantity over quality now, and they're just ruining their
Yeah.
characters. And not that Captain Marvel was a phenomenal character to begin with, but you had an opportunity to round her out and actually give us a solid film to get the people to know her better, to resonate closer to her. And though they did a decent job, still left a lot to be desired. And again, you can very much see how rushed it is with the
Yeah.
runtime. There's no reason that a Marvel movie should barely make over an hour and a
Yeah.
half.
Um
You guys have over a decade of storytelling. The best you did was an hour and a half with over 15 minutes of singing and cat eating people. Like,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And it's a shame too because I was thinking the brand of Captain Marvel was going to kind of follow like her bad attitude was going to follow itself into this movie, and it did at times, but it felt more human. The only time it felt a little off was the final guilt trip that Monica hit her with in the cornfields, like after the planet is dying. It's like what the like, yeah, this is an excellent time to apologize for doing something completely different that was 30 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I don't know. It's I don't think they nailed the timing. Very very amateur storytelling. This needed to bake in the oven for at least another year. And this is
I
Nia
agree.
DaCosta's second movie,
Hmm.
so already not on a good trajectory, honestly, which is a shame.
All right. So to round out the episode, Glenn's giving it a 2 out of
It's a
10.
1.5.
I'm giving it a 4 out of 10, and that's me being generous. Honestly, the 4 out of 10 was because it was fun. Like, you can go in there and have fun with the movie, but it does nothing for Marvel as a whole. It does nothing for the characters as a whole. Um, and the only thing you could even attempt to give it credit for, as far as trying to push the envelope forward, is that whole X-Men situation in the end. That I hope leads into something better. I personally don't think it's going to. Um, Especially if we get more CGI beasts that looked the way that
Yeah.
that did. Eesh. Um, so you don't have to go watch this movie. I don't want to hurt the pockets of Disney. Um, but you don't have to watch the movie. Wait for it to come out on Disney Plus, if that, or check out some super legal
Oh,
websites.
extremely legal. I have a guy who knows some things.
uh, 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 so do with it what you want. If you want to go watch the movie, obviously go fucking watch the movie. I don't give a fuck. But I don't think you need to.
I would say if you want to avoid the singing and the cats, go to the bathroom at when you hit the hour mark, and then go to the bathroom again when you hit an hour and 20 minutes because it's
Yep.
fuck.
All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. This was Glenn stepping in because Larry decided to go on his honeymoon / vacation. So shout out to Glenn. Thank you for coming on, man. Doing our little format of the before and after movie
Yes.
review. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Comment down below if you watched the Marvels and what you thought about it. Were we too harsh? Were we right on the money? If you liked it, what did you like about it? If you didn't like it, what didn't you like about it? Comment down below if you didn't even notice Larry's not in this episode. Just type 1 in the chat. One's in the chat if you don't even recognize Larry's gone. We're going to be here next week, next Thursday, with another episode, another little special treat that I got to take care of the episodes because Larry's still on vacation next week. But I got something special planned for that. So make sure you stick around. And just like every week, catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir.